Today, we've got life lessons from the wealthiest goat farmer in America. Dana, the goat farmer, also known as the copyright professor, is a best-selling author known for the Dream 100 series, The Truth About Business, High-Ticket Book Secrets, and Conversion Secrets, to name a few. Let's cue the intro and we'll jump right into the farm. I've spent the last 20 years studying, teaching, and coaching people to find their greatness and take their lives to the next level. Along the way, it's become evident that emotions are at the root of everybody's successes and failures. Worry and fear are the enemies, and it's time to forge the armor and earn the tools to overcome the two things that could single-handedly destroy your future. Hi, my name is Michael Johnson, and I'm a life coach, a peak performance trainer, and I'm the emotions guy. It's time to take back control of how you feel, control of how you act, and control of how you experience life. It's time to become a lifer, a new breed of overachiever focused on living every minute to its fullest. We are responsible for how we feel, and no one and no thing can make us feel anything. Emotional mastery is our journey, and emotional education and intelligence is the key. We are lifers, and this is Magic for Life. What's up, lifers? Michael Johnson here with Magic for Life, and I am so excited to have somebody I consider a mentor and somebody that I have been following for ages, Mr. Dana Derricks, the GOAT, the greatest of all time, of course. And thank you so much for being here today.
Hey, what's up, everybody? Thanks for having me, man. Super excited.
Absolutely. And I just want to dig in, obviously, not sure if you've heard the podcast, but we talk a lot about mindset and emotions and talking about the behind the scenes and the inside out. And before we jump into some of that heavier stuff, some of our listeners may not know you yet. And for those of our listeners that don't know you, can you share with them a bit of your backstory and kind of how you're here and at this point?
Yeah, so, man, a lot has gone on in my life, which is cool. So I grew up on a farm and a small town in Wisconsin, and that kind of instilled in me that I had a choice one day to make. Do I want to make $20 by unloading a hay rack in the 90-degree humidity in July, or do I want to figure out a better way? And so I decided, you know what, I'm going to figure out something on the internet, make money, whatever. Started selling on eBay. That progressed to the next thing, classic entrepreneur. Now here I am, fast forward 13 years into business, and we've done a lot of cool stuff, written 12 books, spoken a lot of cool stages, have lots of programs for business owners that help them to get clear on how and who they're targeting and how and what to sell and offer, and then, just make a huge impact. So I'm just super excited. I still have goats back at home, so that never left, but this is my day job, and then by night I'm a goat farmer.
That's awesome. You stole some of my thunder. Hold on, I gotta get to my question later.
It's like
on.
Zoom's crabby. There you go.
Why goats? Just because you love that element? Like my father actually has a goat farm as well, which is, like he raises goats and shows them. He's a judge for
What?
Yeah, so he's on that circuit, which is
Dude, that's awesome.
Yeah, but why goats?
Okay, so ironically, when I moved out of after college, I moved into a farm, and they had goats before me, and they had a goat pen, and the ragweed was 4 feet high. And I'm like, you know what? Let's just get some goats back in there. And your dad would appreciate this. I didn't just get any goats. I loaded up. I went to the county fair, and I bought the grand champion and reserve champion.
Are you kidding?
Oh no!
Oh my gosh!
Oh, no. We got award-winning goats on the farm, my man.
You got the top of the line.
Yeah. Yep.
Now,
yep.
I think my dad had a reserve champion himself, and so it
Nice.
Yeah, he was totally into it. My little girls loved going and playing with it. We're gonna have to come visit you at your farm, so my girls can come hang with you.
Yeah, they'll know how to hang out with them.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Well, that's awesome. So you again, if the listeners don't know you, they're gonna go and they're gonna learn about you because your stuff is awesome. But let me kind of interrupt that pattern a little bit and let them know that you were killing it on Amazon with list optimization, and you have a cool thing going there. Like, why did you get into Dream 100 if you had such a cool thing going there?
Oh man, good question. So that was like, it feels like a previous lifetime. That was several years ago that I was doing that Amazon thing, and I just frankly got pretty burnt out. So I talk about being miserably rich. A lot of people don't realize that you can make really good money and be less happy like than you were when you started. So that was me. I was just trading time for dollars and was just overwhelmed and overworked and couldn't delegate, didn't know how to build a team, et cetera, et cetera. So I just kind of retired, put that all on hold. And then few years later, stumbled into an opportunity that was amazing. Had a chat with a guy named Russell Brunson, and realized that there's this thing out there called the Dream 100 that I was doing my whole life that I didn't know there was a term for, and realized that I needed to go really deep on it and figure out more about it. And there was no more information, really. There wasn't a big course on it. There wasn't an event for it. There wasn't any of that. So I just had to make it myself. I said, okay. So I wrote the book on it, and then I wrote the second book on it. Then I wrote a trilogy on it, and then I created a challenge for it. Then I created a program for it, and then I created a live event for it. And the rest is kind of history. I just put my flag into the ground, that right there, as you can see, the flag. And that was it. Yep.
Yeah, I love your presidential setup ever since you changed it to
Thank you.
be this awesome.
If you only saw the mess and the rest of the room, you'd be like, wow.
Yeah, that's how I feel. My desk and everything, it looks pretty here, but
Yeah, exactly.
but outside of that, wow. Well, okay, so you mentioned that, they say do what you love and you'll never work a day in your life, but there are a slew of marketers out there that tell you to give the market what they want and not what you want if you want to make money. So what's the balance between doing what you love and doing what makes money?
Well, I'll give you a perfect example of that. So, I wish in college, in business school, right, they would have shared this. Um, but it's like, okay, first of all, this as a mindset person, like you have to be okay with making money and not just making money, but making a lot of money. Like I've got an uncle who will never see this, which so I can share this story. Like he's like subconsciously petrified of making a lot of money because he doesn't want to become who he hates. Does that make sense? Like he
Yeah.
hates the one percenters and
Right.
he would never want to be that. So then he just works as a humble farmer and doesn't make much money and doesn't want to. Right. Um, so that's the first step is like get okay with making a lot of money, which hopefully everybody out there is. And if you're not, just, follow more of Michael's stuff and you'll probably be okay. But then the next step that was missing for me that I wish I would have gotten earlier, in college, I struggled. Like I remember one my life, I had a night class, then I went to Taco Bell and I tried to buy a meal for like $6 and my card got declined. And it was so embarrassing. Yeah, horrible. So the next day I'm like, I'm done. Like I'm taking matters in my own hand. I don't want to live like this. So I got a $500 credit card, and literally went to Barnes and Noble, drove there and filled up a shopping cart, like in real life with just nothing but business books and like, boom. And so I think it's important for people to realize that you have to identify that you have a superpower, like you have one. And I believe that God has given us all a gift. The sooner we can identify what our superpower is and then hone in on it and double down on it and specialize and then advance our life and invest in it, the sooner all these other things are going to happen and come into place. So for me, once I identified, like I was given a God-given gift of writing, like I've been a good writer my whole life. I just didn't realize how to, make something of that. And even worse, I'd have people like my uncle, who also is a great writer, who would write newspaper columns, and he would make no money. He said he did the math and he was getting paid like $1 an hour to write those columns. I'm like, geez, that sounds terrible. And he's well intended, but he's like, Dana, don't get into writing. There's no money. Okay. I was like, oh, okay. And then I researched what wanting to prove people wrong, like, okay. And I researched what is the highest paying, like paid writing career. And I figured out it was copywriting. So like advertising copy, they're the highest paid writers in the world. Some of the best. So I'm like, okay, well, why would I like master my God-given gift of writing in a vertical that doesn't pay? Right? Why wouldn't I want to go master it in a vertical that pays me really well? So I just said, okay, I'm going for copy. And ever since, um, you know, I have not had a problem with money. And within 6 months of filling up that cart with books, I was making six figures as a freelance copywriter. And then by my senior year in college, I was making $336,000, which was more than the president of the university. And it all came from that, identifying the skill and then identifying the highest paid like adaptation of that skill or application of the skill, and then doubling down and investing in the and then putting in the work. Of course, I was working my tail off. So
Sure.
long-winded answer, but hopefully that answers it.
Well, and like one of our fellow marketers, talks about blue ocean, red ocean, purple ocean, and they talk about putting yourself in a place where there is nothing there, but then they talk about, oh, you need to go where there is something there. So again, how's that balance? Like, how do you put yourself in that right place where there's nobody there doing what you're doing, and it's unique, but nobody's asking for it because they don't know to ask for it?
Ooh, good question. So I'm going to go back to my Amazon days where I was working with over 1,000 Amazon sellers one-on-one. And I know that, so I was fortunate because I didn't get into the Amazon space by going through like a program to learn how to sell on Amazon. I got into it through being a service provider of being an Amazon listing copywriter, like you said earlier. And so I would work with Amazon sellers that were relatively new sometimes, especially in the beginning of my career. And I realized that they were like fed bad information, and it was no wonder why a lot of them struggled. And one of the bad pieces of information that's relevant to this question and still today and forever in the future is they would get all excited because they'd try and find these hidden niches, right? This hidden product that Alibaba or whatever, it's over there, I can get it, but then nobody's selling on Amazon, right? That's the formula for success. And so they would research and scour and gobs of hours and find this product that they're all excited to sell. And then they'd come back and do more research and find that, oh, someone's already selling it on Amazon, and they'd be devastated. And I would be like, hold it for a second. Like, I'm sorry to say this, but you've been fed basically a lie, because the fact that someone else is selling it is not a bad thing. That's a good thing. You know why? Because that means people are buying it. Right? So the fact that people are buying it is to your advantage. Now, if there were 17 different people selling that exact thing, probably not as good because there's lots of people selling it. But it also could mean that lots of people are buying it. So to me, yes, red ocean, blue ocean is a thing. I actually co-authored a book called The Golden River, which my buddy Dave Lindenbaum and I essentially explained this whole thing in that book. And that is, you need to find the red ocean that exists already where people are buying. Okay. So like, instead of going to Alibaba in that example of the Amazon seller, go to Amazon, find what people are already buying the crap out of. Right. And then take them onto your river, the Golden River, take them out of that red ocean and bring them to your blue ocean. And here's what that looks like. Back to the Amazon example. So my buddy Dave, Amazon genius, by the way, he saw that people were buying a lot of matcha tea. Okay. So he saw this red ocean. Okay. And then he realized, oh, wait, I can get people over to my blue ocean by, instead of just selling matcha tea, I could sell them matcha bowls, right? Which I believe is what helps to prepare the tea or something. I don't know. I should probably know that. But the point is he can sell them the matcha tea and get them over to his blue ocean of his matcha bowls, I suppose, or whatever, by first introducing himself with matcha bowls, because the competition for matcha bowls was very, very light. But matcha tea was awesome because it was a consumable product and people could keep reordering. So the point was, he could go into a red ocean, or he could start with his blue ocean that was mildly red, I suppose, because others existed, and then go grab people out of that red ocean, bring them back, and vice versa, by identifying what's already being bought and then introducing something that's niched down and or adapted or evolved from that, in addition to the other thing, if that makes sense.
Yeah, so it's like fishing from the red ocean and pulling out the you catch and throwing them over into a different place.
Yeah, yeah, and I would say too, probably a more practical example is just niching down, right? So like, look at like doctors, your primary care physician. There's tons of them. The people you go to for a scraped knee or you're sick, like there are tons and tons of them. That's a terribly red ocean. However, how about like if you were to have like a weird like in like way inside your ear, like some sort of like infection, you got to go to a crazy specialist for that, right? And that person's going to charge a heck of a lot more for their time and their service than somebody that's just going to take care of you for a cough,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
So that would be the easiest way to take a red ocean and then turn it into a blue ocean, by just specializing and niching down.
Sure. In a past conversation you and I had mentioned that I'd felt like I'd done everything backwards to get from point A to point B, and you laughed and you said you had done that too. What can you tell the entrepreneurs out there that feel like they've done it all backwards and they're struggling to find their break?
Oh man. It's good. It's a blessing in disguise, and it happened for you, not to you. And I would say, for me, I'm glad it happened, because now I'm like, respectfully, I'm a lot better off than a lot of people. And I earned that. So here's a quick example is, I started my business back in like 2008 ish. I was doing it before that, but like actually seriously doing it in like 2008. And I had an offer back then that was not something that people really needed badly. I'll just put it that way. And when 2009 hit, right, like nobody was spending money really. Um, and I had to really struggle. And I just thought business was hard. I'm just like, wow, this sucks. Like, this is harder than I thought it'd be. And what I realize now is it was definitely hard. However, like the exterior forces of the economy and all that, and me not knowing that I should, adjust and pivot and all that, and create an offer that people actually need regardless of their economic situation. And so because my business started during that and I had to just acquire all these skills and figure it out, I'm way better off here 12-ish years later. Than I would have been if I would have started when the economy was absolutely booming and everyone just blindly spending money, right?
Right.
So it's okay. Wherever you where you are now is where you should be.
Right.
I'd say.
Well, so while the stuff was going on that wasn't working out for you, when you had that offer that didn't quite uh, kill it, how did you keep your emotions in check and keep pushing through that? How did you do it?
Oh man. So you have to have like a bit of stubbornness to you, where you can't allow failure to even be an option. So there are times like what people don't realize, because I don't work a ton now. I do, and I enjoy what I do, but I spend a lot of time doing other stuff that people would be shocked if they saw how much time I spend doing stuff like with goats and whatnot during the day. But what people don't see is that I would be up until 4 a.m. like almost every day working, and then I get to class at 8, and then work in the afternoon, then work all night. So if you feel like, I don't get like, the saying, like, if it's meant to be, it's up to me.
Yeah.
I don't want to fully buy into that, because I do think there's other powers at play. But if you can leave it all in the field and then say, there's nothing else I could have possibly done, you'll be in a good spot.
Yeah. Yeah. Makes sense. So, obviously then what you focus on, you get, right? So over the last 5 years specifically, what has been your focus and how did you maintain that focus to be where you're at today?
Wow. Okay, so I've made a lot of mistakes with focus. So I will help you to. So that's actually a good point, though. I find that usually figuring out what not to do from people is more valuable than them telling you what to do. So just food for thought. Um,
We could write a big book on what not to do.
oh yeah, and it would be real valuable.
Yeah.
But specifically in the last 5 years, I think just getting clear on uh, what my value ladder is and like my little ecosystem that I'm building really gear like can I don't know how into the like business weeds you want me to get here.
Let's do it. I mean, obviously, uh, whether it's our audience going and taking up your author challenge, which they should, or whether they're going to take up, your book to learn about the value ladder. Like, I mean, it doesn't matter. So yeah, jump right in because I think the mindset is inlaid in there. And I think that they sort of go hand in hand. The thing that I see these days is that people are trying to separate it and make the business stuff and the skills like, oh, I just need that and I'll be successful. And then, I'm just like, well, but we can kind of put them together. So I think go ahead and jump into the weeds.
I completely agree with you, by the way. I think that absent of one or the other, you'll have nominal results at best.
Yeah.
And if you look at every single very successful business owner, they have both.
Yeah.
They definitely have both. Okay. So for me with focus and like actually like taking instead of 2 steps forward, 1 back all the time and like, feeling all over the place and overwhelmed, getting really clear on my value ladder was pivotal. So the book that Michael just brought up is called The Truth About Business. And this is literally the playbook that exposes the truth that the top 1% doesn't want you to know. This is how to build a business. Have you read this book,
Awesome.
Michael?
I have. Yeah. And I've
Okay.
listened to it twice. So
Nice. That's awesome.
so
All right. So
if you don't have it, guys, you got to go get it.
yeah, highly recommend. So basically, let me put this together for you. So before, like you, I'm sure, and all the listening or watching, we have this desire to like create stuff all the time. Like if we're not doing something, we're just not. We have an itch that we have to scratch, right? So if you were to like create a bunch of stuff all the time, like I used to, and be all over the place, it's doing you as your business a disservice because it's yanking it into 7 different directions, right? It's like trying to build, like say you have 70 acres of land and you're building like half of a cabin here and then like a third of a chicken coop there and then like you just start nonstop like building a new thing and it's like, dude, what are you right, like what are you doing, right? If you were to zoom out and look at it, but it's easy to get trapped in the like day-to-day, like gotta do stuff. So when you look at it as a value ladder, what you're gonna do, and please grab that book, there's a dollar digital version, okay, wherever the link will be. Look at that, this guy's not lying.
Yeah, I'm not lying. He gives you this map and you can go fill it out and you can work through the value ladder challenge. Guys, you gotta do it. I mean, and it's sick.
Like, I'm super proud. That makes me happy. Yeah. Okay. So basically it's like this, instead of like telling someone, an entrepreneur, a creative person, to not create is like putting someone in a cage, like not going to be good. Okay. You'll be pacing back and forth.
Yeah.
So instead it's like, you have to channel those creative thoughts and efforts into something that makes sense and that drives your business and it creates your value ladder and ecosystem that you're building. Just like Michael just gave you a sneak preview of his. So basically what that looks like is, okay, you're going to identify a core offer and you're going to build and make that amazing as best as it can be. And then you'll keep like chipping away at it over time and improving it, but that'll be your core offer. Now leave it alone. Now sell it. Okay. Cause that's the other thing we're guilty of is we get bored really quick, right? Right. We just want new stuff all the time. Like if to me, the thought of selling the same thing every day is horrendous. Like imagine being a realtor that sold the same house every day. Like how boring would that get? So instead we create that, leave it alone. And then underneath that, we create another thing that helps us actually sell the bigger thing. Okay. So I talk about the thing that sells the thing. Stop selling the actual thing. That's boring. Sell the thing that sells the thing. It's going to do a better job anyway than you could sell or me. So instead of creating more core offers that are all over the place, like chicken coop here, shed there, outhouse there, pool there, and they never get done, or they're crappy because there's so many of them. Build stuff in front of it, front end offers, I call them. So basically what that could look like is you could go write a book. You could create a podcast. You could do videos. You could do interviews. You could go speak on stages. You could create direct mail campaigns. You could run ads. You could do all of the above. That's the magic of it. As long as all roads lead back to your core offer, right? Then nothing you can do. I remember I was at Russell Brunson's Inner Circle, and I had this thought pop in my head, and I went up and I wrote it on the whiteboard in front on the stage. And I remember everybody's eyes were just like, whoa, 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 that makes so much sense. I'm like, stop building stuff up here on the value ladder. Just build it all right here. All front end offers that just point back to the thing. And ever since, I don't know if you noticed it, but Russell has launched, like, in the last 2 years, probably, 50 plus front end offers. It's all he does. And it's so brilliant because all roads lead back to what? ClickFunnels, his core product. So with that, I got a little bit excited there, but I would highly recommend getting into the book so you know. But all roads lead back to your core offer. And Michael's living proof of this right now. Like, all roads are going to lead back to him and his stuff when he puts out these offers. And that's what you guys should be doing, because you're giving value to the universe, yet it's still scratching that itch if I got to do stuff, and it serves you in your business because it brings people into the pipeline the correct way.
Right. Well, I mean, and what a great way to put focus, and make such a huge difference, because I agree with you completely. Being a creator, it's exciting to go and create something that's going to help people. And obviously being in the mindset business, doing things to create, and I love helping people. So it's like, oh, that's a great idea. I should build a product off of that. And you're like, oh man, that's okay. I don't. And then I got my team behind me going, stop, no, wait, stop. No, not another product. Like just stop that, And so being able to focus in on that core product and understand your value ladder, and you knocked it out of the park on teaching that other piece of the value ladder that nobody else talks about. And it's, just talking about the other side of things, and that's sick, and so anyway, I mean, I can't recommend that book enough. It's awesome. It's a great book. They need to go get it. And it's thetruthaboutbusiness.com, right? Isn't it?
Truthaboutbusinessbook.com.
Book.com. Yeah.
Or they can get it at Amazon too. Either way.
Okay. Yeah. You can pay full price for it, or go get his awesome, sick deal for.
I would recommend that.
Yeah. But anyway, which, by the way, at another time, I want to tell you my other idea to add to your value ladder, because you're going to dig it and you'll run with it.
Oh boy. Can't wait.
It's sick. Anyway, so you had mentioned this challenge that entrepreneurs and creators have, which is getting bored. You get bored with the thing that you got, and so then you go to the next thing. And I feel like in mindset, we are also guilty. And, when you talk about mindset, that's the new key hot topic word. Everybody talks about mindset. The truth is that it's really about how you manage from the inside out, your internal operating system, and how you deal with your emotions. And when it's all said and done and you dig down to the core, it's all about emotions. We do things to feel, and that's it. End of story. We experience the world so that we can feel. We want to feel happy. We want to feel sad. We want to feel angry. We want to feel excited or blissful. And everything we're doing is to feel some way. And the problem is, just like we create in business, we get bored. We get bored with emotions. And so we do things, and, in business, they call it self-sabotaging. And, the academics like to put fun words on it and stuff. But the truth is we just get bored. We get bored. It's like, oh, I've been happy for a week straight. This is boring. Let's change it up. We'll make something exciting. And so you literally create things in your world just because you want to feel and experience and do that. And because of that, I kind of want to take a direction, about communicating to ourselves about how we want to feel, so obviously, the great Anthony Robbins always says the quality of our communication is the quality of our life. And what do you find yourself saying to yourself on a regular basis that helps you stay positive and helps you stay on track? Like
I,
literally, like what are you actually saying to yourself on a
yeah,
regular basis?
that is a superb question. So I had experience in college where I had a really bad breakup, and I was having a discussion with my pastor about it. Yeah, I'm sure others have dealt with it. And what he said to me changed my life still to this day. It was insane. Um, he said that he explained what love was. And he explained that, and he'd been married for 25 years and all that. And he's like, love is not a feeling. Love isn't this like lust feeling or this like romance thing. It's not. Love is a choice. And he went on to explain like he doesn't feel that romance every day with his wife. He doesn't feel that lust, that teenage, chemical attraction. But he chooses to love his wife every day, no matter what he's feeling. And ever since I realized, I'm like, wow, it was like really helpful in the moment because like, geez, that gal did not choose to love me. Okay, so like, cool, that makes more sense now. And she doesn't even know what love is because whatever. But I realized that just like, you know, it, the emotions are not the thing, the choice is. So love is just an example of that. You could also say loyalty, right? Like if you're going to be loyal to, say, the cause that you're a part of, let's say it's your business, you want to be loyal to your business and give your business what it needs. When your business seems like it's sabotaging you and it hates you and it's doing all this stuff and you hate it back, like it's a choice to be loyal or not. You choose. So what I tell myself as much as I can when I'm experiencing an emotion for whatever the, I guess, relevant thing is that's going on, is I remind myself it's a choice. So I have a choice on how I respond, and I have a choice on um how I'm not going to say I'm not going to try and experience those emotions or hold them back because that's not healthy, but I will choose how I move forward from it.
That choice is, I feel like it's something that as entrepreneurs we have to learn along the way. So if you're out there and you haven't learned that yet, you're gonna have to learn it. You're gonna have to learn that and we choose it all. And if you don't, it's
Mm,
gonna be chosen for you, and that's even worse. And
absolutely. Yep.
it's,
And
it's
it's not all pretty. That's the other thing, is
yeah,
these gurus out there show you the good side. It's a highlight reel.
yeah,
There's a lot more to it.
yeah.
So, mhm.
Well, and to some extent, in even when they don't intend to do that, there's only so much you can show. You know, life is happening behind the scenes, and last thing you want is to ever show anybody that you're breaking down behind the scenes before you get your act together and then go be the leader
Yeah,
that you have to be. And
exactly.
um,
Exactly.
it is rough.
And there's pros and cons to everything though. Like that's the other thing is no matter what, it's not going to be perfect. You have to be okay with that. Like I still to this day will have moments where, I've got buddies that, we will be, let's say we're going golfing on a Saturday, and they have zero obligation to their job from Friday at 4 o'clock until Monday at 9 o'clock. Like they have literally, they wouldn't field a call. They wouldn't get a call. They wouldn't have a fire to put out. They wouldn't have anything to think about except golf and fun. And here I am, overly invested in what's going on, kind of distracted by it, wanting to check it, have, all that stuff. So that still crosses my mind, but I remember that it's a choice because I'm able to do things and provide an impact in ways that they can't. Right. So just always remember that there are pros and cons to everything.
Yeah, for sure. It's definitely a two-edged sword for sure. Well, okay, so speaking of getting the call on the golf course, worry and fear seem to be two of our most challenging emotions. And there's a lot in the list. I mean, so if that doesn't cover you, then there's a bunch. But with worry and fear being so challenging, how have you learned to execute and control worry and fear in a good way, and not
Yeah.
let it eat you?
Good question. So I've got two, I'm going to separate that into two quick answers. So first is, how I got this from Tony Robbins, how I physically respond to worry is highly beneficial to how I cope with it and what happens next. So for example, I can remember back when I had employees in this office and not remote, something happened and one of my employees like ran in my office all frazzled because of it. And I remember just watching how physically upset she was, and it wasn't like a huge deal. And so I just like looked at her. I'm like, see my like body language. Like I get that it matters, but like match this, okay? Match my level of physical concern for this matter. And she was probably half offended, but that really did help her, I think, because the calmer we can look in the physical posture of being less worried looking, the more we'll be able to cope with it and the better the outcome will be. The other thing was with fear, a good friend of mine named Toby Shell had a wonderful, like, just a great mindset on this. And he said he identified, and he used to be a SWAT police officer. So this is where he learned this. He said when it came to fear, he would always separate and identify. The first thing is if the moment he felt fear is this fear or is it danger? And if it was danger, he would, respond appropriately. If it was fear, he would respond appropriately. So how he responded was very different on him identifying whether it was actual danger or if it was just fear. So I have, I don't do SWAT stuff in my profession. So I identify nearly everything as fear. And I don't want to downplay it or minimize it, but I'm not going to respond to it as if it's danger, which a lot of people fall into the trap of.
Yeah. Yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah.
Well, we're on a mission at Majic for Life to help entrepreneurs reconnect that business and mindset. Our goal is to help them save money in the long term, because if not, they'll end up at a therapist or somewhere, or their business is going to fall apart. We want to help them make money, because when you're in the right place and the right mindset, you're going to make money. And we're going to help them maximize their greatest asset, which we feel is time, right? Every minute that you have is your greatest asset, because as soon as it's gone, your memory of it is jacked, and the stuff you're headed towards doesn't exist yet, so you can make it up. And so how do you go about living in the moment and living every minute? Because clearly, as you said earlier, you spend more time doing what people wouldn't necessarily think you're doing. So how do you do that? How do you spend the time being in the moment and being in every minute?
Yes. One big thing for me was I'm a people pleaser, like to please people. So I had to get over that, and I had to be able to say no. And then more importantly, be comfortable with saying no. So if I weren't able to say no still, I would still be working for, 16 hours a day, and I wouldn't have the lifestyle I have. So at some point you have to come to terms with, you have to say no to people. And yes, it's going to make people mad at you, whatever, get over it. Like, live for you a little bit. And then the other thing is with time, you have to realize that there's not enough, like, no matter what. I've got a family member, I'm not going to name them, but they are trapped in this like illusion that things will get better in a couple weeks, it'll start settling down, right? No matter what the topic is, just a couple weeks. So I call it like the couple weeks trap. Okay. And they've been going on this, just 2 weeks and everything will settle down. I'll be able to do blah, blah, blah. They've been going on probably close to 10 years of that. That 2 weeks turned into 10 years, and it's going to turn into 20. Like, I've well given up on that long ago. But what you have to understand is, no matter what you do, you'll never get everything you want done in a day. Never. Not a chance. So you have to be okay with, that didn't get done. Like, oops, that didn't get done. And I'm not saying like ignore deadlines or what have you, or don't try to be effective and efficient, but at some point you have to realize that no matter what you do, it'll be okay. Like, tomorrow you can you can come back and the world will probably still be revolving the same. Hopefully, the sun will rise and you can continue where you left off and everything will be okay.
That's it. That's the name of the game. It's not about this perceived idea. And people have interesting models of the world, and as they learn, and it's something we teach, but as they learn about the fact that, well, the universe doesn't revolve around them, and now you can kind of look at it and go, well, this is just how it is. It's not a matter of it getting better. You make it better. You make it better because you see it better, because you experience it better, and you learn to take the stuff that's coming in and filter it in a way that suits you. And
yes,
and that's
okay. It's not
yeah,
self.
yeah. It's a prerequisite actually for us to move on. I mean, there's no doubt that in order for us to take it to that next level as a human race, we are indeed going to have to learn to use our filters better, not to be delusional either, but just to be better. And I think that's where growth and contribution comes in, because it allows you to see other models of the world and other perspectives that really allow you to take your own life to the next level, because you're not just operating from your own skewed perspective. But all right, well, I listened to John Lee Dumas a bit and his podcast. He's got some cool things going, but he talks about his speed round, his lightning round, right? So at the end, I love to do these questions because, like I said, I feel like emotions are a huge part of the game, and it's something that we were taught so poorly about in school growing up. And there should have been a class on that. They talk about math, science, and English. And I'm like, how about emotions? How about you teach us that we can be happy because we choose to be happy? This would be something good to have our kids learning from day one. And, there's no mastery, there's no PhD in how to manage your emotions, and there should be. And it's unfortunate. So in that, I want to be able to help people understand what successful people like yourself are doing, because like you said, you had to learn it through the school of hard knocks, like so many of us have. You learn it along the way and you go, okay, not going to do that again. Okay, I got to do more of that, and figure it out. So this lightning round's all about your go-to emotions. And it's a little confusing, but you'll get the hang of it straight away. And so I'm going to ask you about different scenarios, different elements of your world, and what your go-to emotion is and what your limiting emotion is. So you had to be vulnerable. Sorry about that, but that's okay. You'll live.
Oh man.
So in business, what's your go-to emotion when things are good?
Gratitude.
In business, what's your limiting emotion when things are bad?
I would try to find a word for it. Selfishness.
Okay. In partnerships, I mean, in obviously Dream 100, right? You got lots of that going on, right? But in partnerships, when things are going good, what's your go-to emotion?
Celebration.
And what's your limiting emotion when things are not good?
Blame.
In coaching, when you're the coach, what's your go-to emotion when things are good?
Pride.
And what about your limiting emotion?
I'm gonna go back to blame, I think.
Okay. And what about being coached? Because obviously you didn't get here by not being coachable. What's your go-to emotion when things are going well, when you're being coached?
Self responsibility.
Okay. And what about limiting when you're being coached?
Blame, man. It's theme.
Nice. Okay. And what about in your relationship? What's your go-to emotion when things are going well?
Oh man. Love.
And what about when things are going bad? What's your limiting emotion?
Probably isolation.
Okay. And you have a child, and
Yes.
and it's pretty exciting to watch you go through that. And it's pretty fun, and I can see it on your face, like it's
Yeah,
it's
man.
it's great. It's awesome. So what do you feel like is your go-to emotion when things are going well with your child?
Uh, Gratitude.
And limiting.
Fear.
Oh, amen.
Yeah.
That's awesome. I love kind of going through these because so many times, like you said, there's a show going on um, with a lot of the gurus, and whether you like it or not, like I love that documentary Anthony Robbins did, "I'm Not Your Guru."
Oh
It
man.
was awesome, and
Yeah.
it's sort of a calling to all of us out here that are leaders and are leading the way for our fellow humans to take that next step and become better. But oftentimes, just because we're in the limelight and because we're leading the way, it's hard because you've got to continue to maintain an element of trust. Like, yes, I can lead you. And so there's this hard part of not becoming that guru status, and yet you are. And for me, you are. You've led me in a great direction, and you've taught me tons of amazing things. And there's no way that the success I will continue to have in my world will not have come without having you as part of my team. And so I appreciate that. And I thank you for that. And it's really great to be able to share, you with our audience and with the world out there, and for them to be able to see that you're real, you're real human. You have the same emotions. And I started doing this a while back, and I feel like people really enjoy it because they can kind of go, yeah, okay, I feel that too. And I thought I was supposed to not feel that. And that's not the name of the game when it comes to emotions. It's not about not feeling those things. It's about learning how to deal with it and handle it and utilize it. I call it education, intelligence, and mastery, not just one of those.
Nice. Yep. Yep.
But I can't. In case my audience hasn't gotten it at this point, I can't say enough great things about you. Your books are awesome. Your education is awesome. You're the real deal. There is, for all of you guys out there, there's nothing that you're going to get from him that will lead you astray or that will be like, gosh, I can't believe I got this. And so for all of you out there, go get Truth About Business. Get them all. Get Dream 100. You'll get in. If you're writing a book or you want to write a book, get his author challenge. If you just want to learn from somebody that gets it and that's real, you gotta hook up with Dana. He's awesome. You are the man, and
Wow.
I sure appreciate you each step of the way. And I can't wait to continue to do more with you in the future because you're the real deal. So we appreciate you. Thank you so much.
Wow. That's super humbling, man. I sincerely appreciate that very much. And all those dark moments, guys, like, look, I just want to take a second here to maybe talk somebody off the ledge here. So, those dark moments that you're going through and you're like, God, there's this like thought that it's going to be all right. Cause all that matters is someday someone's going to say what I did mattered and it helped them. Okay. I had lots of those thoughts and moments, and I never knew that I would impact people. And it's just going to keep happening. Okay. It's going to keep going, and it's going to happen. I remember the first time somebody at a live event stopped me on the sidewalk and they said, "Are you Dana?" I'm like, "Yes." And they're like, "Hang on a second." And then they took their backpack off and they started unzipping it. And I'm like, "Oh my God, I think I'm being robbed. I'm just this vulnerable, farm kid from Wisconsin. I don't know what's going on. I'm in Florida." And they pull out a copy of my book with a pen. And they're like, "Hey, can you please autograph this?" And I'm just in shock. I'm like, "What are you talking about? You want me to autograph that? Are you serious? And it's moments like that. And then what Michael just said, it's just trust me, it's worth it. Okay. 10 years ago, I had 1% of me thought I'd ever be here. Okay. Be that person that I humbly am told I am for Michael. Be that for somebody else and it'll all be worth it. So hang in there, keep going, and good things are on the horizon, I promise you.
You're the best. Hey, are there any new projects or anything that you'd like to share with the audience besides, obviously they should go get your books and stuff and they'll start to find their way into your audience, but like what other things did you want to tell them about? I'd like them to know more about you.
Oh, I appreciate that. So yeah, I would highly recommend from a business standpoint, just start with the Truth About Business book. Go to truthaboutbusinessbook.com. There's a bundle that I put together for you with an audio version, digital version, physical version, rush shipping for $27. It's worth it. If you don't trust, whatever, if you'd rather get on Amazon, go be my guest. That's fine too. But as far as kind of a personal side project, this is kind of fun. I have soft launched right now is the perfect time with everybody being cooped up at home. I've identified a gap in a market. So are you familiar with like animal assisted therapy?
Yeah.
Okay. So I've identified that there's a gap in the market where there's a lot of kids out there that can't afford animal therapy. There's a lot of families that can't afford it. There's a lot of families that don't have access to it or don't know about it. And there's just a lot of kids out there struggling with, half the kids have some sort of disorder they've been labeled with, right? And so we created a virtual version of that. So we launched a virtual therapy farm where we have volunteer, what we call farmers that have pets that range from bulldogs to goats to horses to yak. There's everything in between. And then we pair them for free with families that have a kid that's struggling with something. Doesn't matter what, if it could be autism, it could be, we have kids with going through cancer. We have a vast array of whatever the kid is, just needs some animal loving. And we pair them virtually on a video conference call. And they get to hang out with animals and put a smile on their face from the comfort of their home or hospital bed. And it's the coolest thing ever. And we just soft launched it. It's at therapyfarm.com. Paid a bunch of money for that domain name. But yeah, we just launched it. And that's my side project. Super excited about.
That's awesome. Well, I'm sure everybody will go check it out. We'll put that link in the description. And
thank you.
For goodness sakes, you are the man. You are definitely the GOAT. That's for
Thanks,
sure.
man. I appreciate it. Thanks so much for having me. This is a great time.
It's my pleasure. Thank you so much. Happiness is a choice. Sadness is a choice. All emotions are a choice. Sometimes doing our emotions doesn't seem like it's our choice, but it is. You have control. You are the captain of your ship, and you must learn how to be the best captain you can be. Let me show you how. Pick up your free copy of my new book, Every Minute, at everyminutebook.com.